But first, Scotty has to beam her up.
Yes.
There she goes.
Can you hear
Maxine
me?
Bigler.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Well, there's a reason for my sitting down. And Michael reminded me about patience, and he reminded me about blessings. There's always a blessing in everything that happens. When I was diagnosed with cancer 16 years ago, and they did radiation and chemotherapy, particularly radiation, left a lot of lymph damage everywhere, but particularly in the left leg. So the left leg is really swollen right now. But there's a light, because this is the celebration of light. There is a light to this. One, I get to sit down. I get to raise my foot usually at home. And the second part is, you accept me exactly as I am, right? Even with these crazy Birkenstocks. You know, what can I tell you? Oh well. So, with that, we're going to celebrate Hanukkah today. You know, every year between the end of November and the end of December, the Jewish people all around the world celebrate the holiday of Hanukkah. It's called the Festival of Lights. Now, how many of you have been at some of my celebrations here at the church? A lot of you, but there are some who have not. Hanukkah begins on the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Kislev. But the starting date on the Western calendar varies. I mean, year to year, it does vary. This year, in 2012, it's supposedly December 8th through the 16th, but then there's a controversy over that. They're saying it's today. And my niece reminded me, because it's her 40th birthday today, that perhaps Hanukkah started today because of her 40th birthday. And I went, okay, whatever. But the fact is that it is controversial. In 2013, it'll be November 27th through December 5th. And remember that as we celebrate here at the church, which is a true pleasure and honor for me to be able to share the culture in which I grew up, in spite of the fact that my mother hated Hanukkah. That was a fantasy of mine. I think I told that fantasy last year, that I always thought that my mother loved Hanukkah and that she made these great latkes. Well, one, she hated Hanukkah. She hated every celebration. And she made awful latkes. Really bad. And so, whenever we celebrate, God is with us. And so if we celebrate next year and it's after Hanukkah or before Hanukkah, it really doesn't matter, because God doesn't care when we do it. In 2014, it'll be December 16th through the 24th. And in 2015, it'll be December 6th through the 14th. So you see, it can almost bridge Christmas. And oftentimes it does. The holiday actually celebrates the events which took place over 2,300 years ago in the land of Judea, which is now called Israel. So long ago in the land of Judea, there was a Syrian king called Antiochus. And Antiochus was just savage. He ordered the Jewish people to reject their God, their religion, their customs, their beliefs, and to worship the Greek gods. There were some who did as they were told, but many, many refused. And one who refused was Judah Maccabee. Actually, his entire family did. They hid in the mountains. He and his 4 brothers formed an army. Actually, his father was in charge, and then his father passed away, and Judah took over and chose the word Maccabee, which means hammer, because what they wanted to do was to hammer the Syrians out of Israel, or out of Judea, which it was known at the time. After 3 years of fighting, they were successful, and they drove the Syrians out and reclaimed the temple in Jerusalem. And how many of you have ever been in a Jewish temple? Great. I'm glad to know that. The ones here in California are very different from the ones on the East Coast. I was raised on the East Coast and raised as a conservative Jew. The Reformed temples are very different here, but they all have a tabernacle. The Maccabees wanted to clean the building and remove all the Greek symbols, the statues, and also the debris that was left by pigs and other animals that were in the temple. So on the 25th day of Kislev, the job was finished and the temple was rededicated. When Judah and his followers finished cleaning the temple, they wanted to light the eternal light. And it's known as the Ner Tamid, which is present, it's present in every Jewish house. Now, in my home, because I was raised rather ecumenically, I have a lot of menorahs, but I don't have that light. So we could say that this is my light. But only a tiny jug of oil was found and enough for just one day. The oil lamp was filled and lit, and a miracle occurred, just like a miracle occurred, and I got to sit down today. To commemorate the miracle of the oil, it lasted for 8 days. And so the word Hanukkah means rededication. And in America, families celebrate Hanukkah at home. I know that in my home, I was raised, like I said, kind of ecumenically. I was raised because especially here in California, when children in school used to say, well, what'd you get for Christmas? And I'd say, well, nothing. And they'd be kind of mean. And so my parents conceded and allowed us to have Christmas and Hanukkah, which was kind of cool because then you get 2 holidays, you know. It was really fun. We received gifts. I know that when I had cancer in 1996, Sherry Allspa sent me a package, and what I didn't know, and she told me finally, was that she had wrapped 8 gifts, and every day I opened a gift. And it was just such a wonderful thing to have happen. She goes to the other church, and what a wonderful friend she's been over the years. So that was a real gift for me. We eat special foods. I prepared potato latkes for you today. Now, you want to remember that the latkes are a treat. They are just a taste. You get a taste of it. We do it with applesauce, and we do it with sour cream. I'd like to thank Reverends Michael and Louis because I couldn't get to the store and they got me sour cream, thank goodness. Well, all of you sour cream too. So we get to enjoy that. We light the menorah and we play a game called the dreidel. And so I have a small collection of dreidels that my youngest sister got me from the University of Judea in Los Angeles. And there is a dreidel game. I know that Reverend Louis is just wonderful whenever he's come to my house. He's always the one who directs playing of the dreidel game because he's so good at it. We have the different figures. This is Shin. This one is Hey. This one is Gimel. And this one is Nun. And they mean actually a great miracle happened there. In Israel, they say a great miracle or a miracle happened here. It's very popular during the holidays. We used to play with pennies because we didn't have a whole lot of money. We also played with nuts. You could play with raisins, although they would get kind of crummy, you know. And gold coins, which I have brought, and Reverend Louis has put them out there. Please do take a gold coin when you go into the hall. As tokens or chips. And the best part is that in the dreidel game, Nun means do nothing, the next player goes, so you have to pass. The Gimel is take all the money. Now, wouldn't you like to get a Gimel? Yeah. Hey means take half the money, which wouldn't be terrible. And Shin means pay 2 pennies or pay 2 nuts or whatever it is. And if you do that, you don't want to, it's just part of the whole thing. Now the dreidel game was outlawed actually for quite some time because it was thought to be by the Christians